I want to note that we've been joined by Mayor Bowser. I did see some of her staff walking, but I didn't see you sitting behind the officials here to recognize you for any statement that you'd like to make.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and let me thank all the members of the council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't turn on my microphone for your diligence, and certainly to all the members of the committee and the members of the council who participated in the hearing today. And let me be clear in saying this, that our administration takes very seriously the protection of the residents of the District of Columbia. It is indeed and has been our focus to make sure that we are transforming an agency that has long been troubled. I heard some of your remarks earlier saying that you could have heard some of these comments in 2009, 10 years ago, and we recognize that it's going to take more than popping in and popping out to reform an agency, and that is our commitment. I shared Chief Dean's focus. We were very lucky to recruit Chief Dean. You heard testimony about the success of the department that he comes from and the focus on EMS and very successfully delivering EMS. And with more than 4 decades of experience in getting it done, we are very confident in his leadership. I was walking by when I read on the screens outside one of your questions, and that question was, were we in a bind? Or how were we set back by the resignation of our former employee? And the fact is, anybody would be in a bind with 6 days notice, And so what our team has been able to do is make sure that we have interim director in place, and we will have the opportunity now to recruit a medical director that is really committed to the residents of the District of Columbia and making the reforms necessary. We have made no secret of the fact that we have encountered difficulties from equipment, from the very early days and talking about tablets to ambulances. We were so grateful to the council for stepping up with us to make sure that we would be able to more quickly put in place the number of ambulances that we need. We're also very heartened by your focus today on training. When we came to the council in our very early days and talked to you, the chief said to us and other departments, the personnel are getting hours every month of training. And here we were training once or twice a year. And so we knew that we had to make that time available for our personnel too. There was an earlier question earlier in the day about what is the will to get this done. And certainly if you haven't figured it out in 6 months, then there's something wrong here. There is no question about will. Let me make sure that all of you and all of the residents of the District of Columbia understand that. Our will is to make sure our employees are the best trained, the best equipped, and the best led. It should also be clear that all of my directors, including Chief Dean, know this. Any employee that has a question or issue or recommended changes, he has an open door, as do I. And so I'm glad that we have had this discussion. I want to make it very clear to the members of the council that we will continue to bring our recommendations to you. Some of them will require changes, as you have given us the emergency ability to procure a third-party provider. Some of them will require additional resources, as I think one of the council members was talking about something important to his ward. But you should be assured that you have a partner and that we will be transparent in all that we do.
Well, we appreciate you, Mayor, coming down to the committee to express that and make that statement. It's helpful to the work that we have here in the committee. Similarly with the testimony of Chief Dean. I do agree, and I don't think that your desire to have the highest quality EMS care be provided to the residents of the district and visitors to the district is any different than that of Chief Dean or any member of this council. I think everybody's on the same page with that. I think the concern that I've heard from residents, and perhaps you've also heard, is where are we now? When you get a letter that we got from Dr. Saucy making the types of allegations that were made, inevitably you're going to have people on edge asking questions about the state of EMS services here in the District of Columbia. And while, as I stated earlier, the goals that Chief Dean have outlined with the input of your office are all laudable goals, the question is, where are we in terms of implementation and trying to identify more concrete benchmarks to help instill that confidence that I think you would agree residents need to make sure that they're getting that highest quality service. I think there's been a shot to the confidence of some residents who are looking from the outside in and perhaps don't have that context that you have and don't have the context that the chief has with respect to how many steps are being taken. But at the end of the day, some of the things we heard today are very basic. You know, training is something that happens in every department in the government. And obviously when it comes to delivering EMS services, you need to have training there. The chief has said that he wants to do training on a monthly basis. That's the first that I've heard of that, but I'm encouraged by that.
No, we talked about that with the council as one of the chief reasons that we needed to have more time in the day for our providers, so that they could have training. That was one of the main. In addition to having we need more vehicles. We need more time for our personnel to be able to train. Absolutely, we share that. But we've been talking about that since we introduced to you all the concept of having additional ambulance providers.
No, I agree that you all have talked about the need to focus on training. You talked about that, and one of the reasons why you thought that it would be helpful to have the third-party contractor in place. And I think that was supported unanimously by this council.
Absolutely, and we appreciate that.
I don't think it takes away from the issue, though, that in order to implement a robust training program, there needs to be a baseline assessment of where providers are. And I think what I've heard from the chief today, and I think he specifically committed to providing to the council a more concrete time frame of what types of assessments are going to be done and when those assessments are going to be performed, because admittedly, you can't get to the training until you know the baseline competency level of providers. And I think that was some of the issues that have been presented, not only with Dr. Saucy's letters, but some of the other testimony that we heard from witnesses. So we appreciate you being here. And it looks like we've been joined by another council member. And so I guess we're going to turn to Councilmember Yvette Alexander if you want to make, I don't know if you want to make a statement or exactly what you want to do. Are you here to answer questions, Ms. Mayor? Okay, all right. To the chief? Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to put on the record?
No, that's
Madam
it. I just wanted to be here. I have been very heartened by, I wanted to be here all day. I'm just going to tell you, I've been watching on our office all day, and I've had meetings throughout because I want to make perfectly clear that this chief has the vision to turn this agency around. It's not going to take, it's longer than a 6-month job. It's a job that we are all committed to, and we are going to turn it around with your support. And we want to tell the residents of the District of Columbia that we take very seriously the vehicle shortages that we found, the training deficits that we found, and the morale, quite frankly, across all of our personnel that was very poor. Like you, I sat on this council. With Ms. Che, I was on the Judiciary Committee. I wasn't on the Rosenbaum Task Force, but I have followed it very closely. And I don't want us to be telling this story again a year from now. So we're going to work very hard. We're going to lock arms and partner with you and provide you the information that we need and make this department a department across every part of the service that we can be proud of.
Well, thank you again
Thank
for
you.
that statement and for being here. I'm going to give Councilmember Alexander an opportunity